This is huge. Craig Breslow has finally come out and made some official comments on the number one prospect in all of baseball in Roman Anthony. We're here to break down a brand new article published by Jeff Passan, highlighting a lot of those quotes from Craig Breslow, all on this episode of Red Sox Digest. Before we get to the news and the breakdown, please do remember to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on everything Boston Red Sox. Almost 90% of you guys watching this video are not currently subscribed. So go down, click that subscribe button. We do appreciate the love and support, so thank you guys. But now let's get to it and break down these major updates from Craig Breslow about Roman Anthony. It feels like the first time in a very long time we actually have some substantial and concrete information surrounding Roman Anthony from a legitimate piece in this Red Sox organization. It feels like Roman Anthony has just been sitting down in AAA in the minors, just demolishing baseballs day after day after day, with no expectation to get called up to the big leagues because of how the Red Sox on the MLB stage are currently constructed due to the injuries and the problematic and chaotic situations that have been going on over the last week. Roman Anthony still finds himself down in the minor leagues, but due to the comments made by Craig Breslow over the last few days, it seems like there is a substantial chance and a real chance that we see him sometime in June, and I'm here to break down all of the quotes. So let's start with the article, again, published by the one and only Jeff Passan, as we all know and love him. He went on to tweet this, and if you click on the picture, it takes you to the article. And again, the article will be tagged down below in the description if you would like to read the entirety and the totality of this article, as he goes on to talk about the Royals' top prospect and prospect, as well as Roman Anthony, comparing the two guys, and really gives us a lot of key points. I'm not going to read this word for word because there is a lot of actual writing in this article, but I'm going to highlight a lot of the quotes, if not all the quotes, from Craig Breslow and his quotes on, obviously, Roman Anthony. So we'll start with Jeff Passan going on to mention how Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer, and Roman Anthony are the greatest position-playing prospect trio in a decade coming into the 2025 season. That is substantial. And then Passan would go on to acknowledge how good Campbell started and how bad he has been playing statistically as of late since that hot start. And again, it is what it is. He is a rookie. Allow him to gain the experience. Allow him to find his footing. And the position might be the reason in which the offensive production has gone down. But that is a conversation for the next episode of Red Sox Digest. Make sure you don't miss out on that. But the reason we are here, the comments made by Craig Breslow on this young prospect in Roman Anthony, top prospect in Roman Anthony. So we'll start there. Quote, "It's really difficult to predict that someone is going to be successful out of the gate," Red Sox Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow told ESPN this week. Quote, "You're making these long-term probabilistic bets that guys who perform the way Christian or Marcelo or Roman have tend to be productive big leaguers. But does that happen in week one, month one, season one? You don't know. You try to round out their development as well as possible. It's really important that communication between our major league staff and player development group is seamless. So we know exactly what their training game plan and routines look like, so we can control as many of those variables as possible, knowing what we can't control." Okay, so to break this down, Breslow discussing that this is a substantial situation to go through, and the idea that you have this young crop of players, including these three guys in Meyer, Campbell, and Anthony. You don't want to rush them to the big leagues, because when you do, you can't diminish all the confidence they have worked for. You can't diminish all of the work ethic and all of the mentality they have maintained up to this point in their career to get to the big leagues. And if you do that and you try to force them in to the first week of the season, you hope that they come out there and they be the top prospects you have watched in the minor leagues on the MLB stage, you can quickly diminish really all that they have worked for to try to be in the big leagues. And again, it can be week one. It can be month one. It can take a full year. It can take 6 months. You don't know yet. In the attempt to really develop these young players to the best degree in which you can, and while maintaining their health as well as their mental confidence, is a substantial piece to the puzzle that the Boston Red Sox are attempting to figure out with these young top prospects that, again, are going to be a part of this Red Sox organization for a long, long time. So why rush the entire process and force them to the big leagues in such a short amount of time? Now, Passan would go on in this article to continue to say, with quotes from obviously Craig Breslow, that not only does Breslow hear all of the conversations going on about Roman Anthony and the praise that he gets on social media, as well as amongst the clubhouse in Boston, that these guys and this fan base wants to see this young prospect on the big stage. But due to the surplus of talent in the outfield and the lack of first base that Roman Anthony plays, it doesn't seem like there's a quick segue to get him straight from the minor leagues to the MLB. But there might be. We'll get to that in just a second. Let's start with this next quote. You try to make these decisions as unemotionally as possible, which is really, really difficult because the rest of the organization and I are incredibly invested in the success of the team, Breslow said. Quote, you try to build out the best process you can when emotions aren't high so you can approach it as rationally as possible. And again, that's another quote from Craig Breslow, and I love this mentality. And I know I hate it on paper, and I hate watching it from a distance. But when you actually hear this and you understand this is the mentality that Craig Breslow and the rest of the front office in Boston maintains, it gives you a bit of relief and a bit of satisfaction. And the reason I say that is, yes, I understand Roman Anthony is still in the minor leagues and he's still a young prospect. Everyone is just hoping and praying to watch someday for the Red Sox on the big league stage. But up to this point, it has not happened yet. But if you go and you understand this is the mentality that Craig Breslow and the rest of the front office is maintaining, it should give you a little bit of satisfaction. It really should, because they're not trying to rush him. They're not trying to force feed anybody, including Roman Anthony. And again, that big league stage. They're allowing him to develop. They're allowing him to come in when he is absolutely required, when he is absolutely needed. And he can come into this organization and be a substantial piece to the entirety of the organization, not just offensively, but in the clubhouse, defensively, feeling wanted, being a young piece that not only is going to be a new guy in this locker room, but he's going to be appreciated. He's going to be wanted and required in that locker room and in that clubhouse to allow this Boston Red Sox team to continue to win and continue to be competitive. Now, we move on in the article, as again, we are just trying to focus on the quotes made by Craig Breslow, as those are the most important ones, giving us a real idea of what ideas and what focus is going on behind closed doors in that clubhouse down in Boston, to really give us an idea of when could we see Roman Anthony on the big stage? What moves could be made amongst this Red Sox team to allow a spot to open up for Roman Anthony? Well, there was a lot of conversations about Christian Campbell playing first base, conversations we had on this channel. Christian Campbell has obviously played center field. He has played left field. He has played second base a lot for this Red Sox team. And there has been quotes, there's been a lot of comments made about this Red Sox organization, and specifically the rookie Christian Campbell, and about the surplus of positions he will play. Regardless of whether or not he has played them before, Campbell is more than willing to learn new positions and take on new challenges defensively for this Red Sox organization, which has been nothing short of an absolute dream for this Red Sox organization because of Bregman going down with injury, obviously Casas going down with injury. There's two key positions, one on each side of the diamond in the infield, that the Red Sox need to fill a void in for the time being. Obviously, Casas' injury is going to sideline him longer than Alex Bregman's, but that does not mean that Christian Campbell doesn't have the luxury of being able to move all over the diamond. And in doing so, that may open up a spot for Roman Anthony in the outfield. So let's break down what Passan goes on to bring up. Opinions do exist. The Red Sox could shift Rafael to second, slide Campbell to first, and free up a spot for Anthony. They could sit shortstop Trevor Story like Campbell. He's in a month-long swoon, and move Rafael there. But these sorts of premulations remove any elite defensive center fielder from his best position, and that's something other organizations wouldn't even consider, even if Rafaela's offense has been palliatory. So what's going on? Could Rafaela move to second base? Could they sit Trevor Story, allow Christian Campbell to play first base, leave Meyer at shortstop, and then obviously Bregman would play third, as well as, again, Toro could play first. Campbell would end up being the first baseman in this exact scenario. But again, Torreal's been getting a lot of the reps at first base, allowing center field to be in open position for Roman Anthony. Could Roman move to center? Could Jarren Duran move back to center and allow Roman to move to left field? He can play off that monster, not as much ground to cover. Again, you just have to learn how to play balls off the monster. And again, if you could learn off of, say, Don Rafaela as well as Jarren Duran, I think that would be a very quick pace to learning exactly what is going on in Boston and how to play in the outfield at an elite level. I think that is going to be a great opportunity for the Boston Red Sox. It just comes down to whether or not they're actually going to do it. I will say Trevor Story being sat and being benched for someone like Meyer or even Christian Campbell is a bit unlikely. Campbell's bat has been extremely cold, as well as Story's, but last night against the Atlanta Braves, Trevor Story had a 3-run double off the center field wall, and simply he looked a lot more like the Trevor Story that we got at the beginning of this MLB season, where he was having a lot of bat-the-ball contact. A lot of it was hard hit contact and resulted in extra base hits. Again, the biggest problem for Trevor Story right now is inability to shrink the strike zone, just like, say, Don Rafaela, and they're doing a lot of expansion, or they're expanding that strike zone quite a bit. So a few more quotes just to wrap up this video. Quote, "We have to be willing to react and pivot to all the variables in front of us," Breslow said. "Things change. Guys get hurt. The lineup doesn't look exactly the same way as we thought it would on opening day. We try to balance all of these things." And again, that is the end of the quote, one of the quotes from Craig Breslow, discussing really the requirement for versatility, the requirement to always be on your toes, and they're really the positive to the ability of being versatile, as well as just being flexible in the MLB, as well as for this Boston Red Sox team, because of just the overall injuries and all of the problems the Red Sox organization have gone through up to this point. Like we mentioned earlier, Bregman down for the IL for a certain amount of time that we don't really know the timetable for. Casas will be out for the remainder of the year. Obviously, players like Trevor Story and Christian Campbell are slumping. There's a lot of different variables going on, and there's a lot of moving parts on this Red Sox team because of the versatility and flexibility that the current roster maintains outside of Roman Anthony being on this team. So to conclude this article, again, written by Jeff Passan, he goes on to say, "These areas to improve are all nitpicks, a fact acknowledgement by Breslow. Like Piccolo with Caglione, he has reverence for Anthony, the skills, the personality, the maturity. Breslow, who spent part of 12 seasons in the big leagues, knows as well as anyone the challenges major league pitchers present and wants to ensure the organization handles Anthony with the utmost care, even if it's sacrificing an unknown future for a grim present." Quote, "We think," Breslow said, quote, "he's going to be a heck of a big league player." And again, that is the end of the quote from Craig Breslow, the chief baseball officer of the Boston Red Sox, someone who this Red Sox fan base is really just waiting on to see when he makes the call to bring up top prospect Roman Anthony to the big leagues. So again, we broke down the situations and scenarios where we could see Roman Anthony on the big league stage for this Boston Red Sox team in this article written by Jeff Passan. And again, Roman down in the minor leagues is simply a man amongst boys. Looks his prospect savant looks a lot like Ronald Acuna's in his short tenure down in the minor leagues. I'm not saying he's Ronald Acuna. I'm just saying down in the minor leagues they have damn near the same prospect savants. Hard hit rate is out of this world. The base on balls percentage is out of this world, as well as really all the other major offensive statistics that they are tracking and following these guys based off of. Let me know down below when you guys would like to see Roman Anthony to the show. Would you like to see him now? Would you like to see him wait? And if you wanted to see him now, are you okay with putting him in center field and moving, say, Don the second, and having the entire infield of the Red Sox really shift in the sense of Story moving positions, or possibly even to the bench, Campbell playing first, and all of the other different moving parts? Thank you guys for watching this episode of Red Sox Digest, and I will see you guys on the next one.